Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to do a quick long-term review of my 3F UL Lanshan 1 Pro. I've had this for best part of a year now, and I initially bought it as a summer tent, spring lightweight wild camping tent. But if you've watched any of the other videos, which are up here I think, or some of them, you'll probably have seen me using it all the way through the winter. And I thought I would just take some time to go through it and give you the long-term review on it, what I think of it, whether it's any good or not. I bought this not off AliExpress, actually I bought it on Amazon for about £135. I've done a link below, and if you have a look in my kit list you'll see some links there. So I'm going to give you my honest opinion of how it's fared over the last year, what its strong points are, what its bad points are. Hopefully you will then be able to judge for yourself whether it's any good or not. Okay, let's get it set up, haven't we? So starting off, it does come in a compression sack, and it does compress right down. This is the tent plus pegs and a ground sheet. It's a single skin tent, but it does fit into this very small package. Now this, with the ground sheet, the tent pegs, which are upgraded tent pegs, I'll show you in a minute, and the main body of the tent, that comes in at just under a kilo, so that's about 960. The actual tent itself weighs about 695 grams. Then you've got the pegs on top, then you've got the ground sheet. There's not much to the ground sheet. So I'll just go ahead and set this one up so you can see how easy it is to set up. So the key to the Lanshan setups is using the ground sheet as a footprint for the whole setup. This is ripstop nylon. It's fairly tough. It feels quite plasticky and thin, but in fact it's pretty tough. And given that I've been using it for the last year, spring, summer and winter, it's holding up pretty strong. The beauty of this is you can lay it down and move it around if it's not in the right place before you commit to the tent. It's not a freestanding tent, the Lanshan, so you can then move this around to where you need it, and it just makes it a little bit more flexible. It did come with these smaller pegs, and I've replaced them with these much longer ones. These are okay, but they're not very good pegs that they come with, to be honest. Pretty rubbishy. These are a bit more substantial, and the hooks on them to stop the guy lines coming off, much better. So I would probably upgrade those. Well, I did upgrade those. You need 9 pegs in total. So you've got a straight edge and you've got a pointed edge. Put your pointed edge to the back. Simple little loop systems, as with all tents really. Just stick that one in somewhere. Just do them loosely for now. You don't need to commit totally to it at this point. So I'm going to take that one back a bit. The thing is with these tents, they're not freestanding, you do have to plan out where you're going to be a bit. So that's the ground sheet set up. You can move your pegs around a bit. You're going to hit stones or wherever, if you're under moors or whatever. Move them around and get it nice and taut. The rest of the tent is going to work around that ground sheet, so it is really acting as a footprint. Once you get that in the right place, the rest of it's a doddle. So it all comes out of your stuff sack. Peg down your bags, because otherwise they'll fly away. And this is a single skin tent, ultra lightweight. Now it feels very thin. It feels thin, but it's tough. It's really tough. It has put up with so many batterings from the wind with me. I am really very surprised it's still here. But it is. It's a hiking pole tent. So I have my hiking pole. Now this hiking pole is adapted to be a tripod for my filming as well, so I can use it to film at the same time as hiking, because I don't like to take out too much equipment to try and keep the weight down. But I can still use it for my tent, but I don't always use this one for the tent. What I use instead is an OEX tarp pole, and this is actually set at pretty much the right height for the Lanshan 1 Pro and the Lanshan 1. I have adapted it slightly, so you can see on the end here it's got a little round end, and I can give you some links for those, together with a little rubber gaiter off a walking stick, so that it will not tear through the tent when I put it inside. And I'll show you how we put it inside now, a bit like this. So there's two sets of guy lines on the actual main body of the tent itself. There's the bathtub section, which you go round and put all in first. Just attach them to your pegs. They're already staked out, so it should be just a case of popping them over. And I would say at this point, make sure your tensioners on the outer guy line are loose at the moment. You just want to connect it up all loose for the minute. I'll show you why in a second. So I'm putting the lower bathtub section on first, then I'm loosening the tensioner for the what seems to be the fly sheet, but it's not, it's an all-in-one. Then I'm attaching that one. Do that all round and the job's a good one. So that's it, everything put on. You got your ground sheet, you got your bathtub section connected to your pegs, then you got your outer guy lines, which seems to be the main body of the tent, loosened and then clipped over. So they're all going over those pegs. Now we've got to get the pole, or your trekking pole, into the front part. Can be a bit tricky, so watch out. The secret to this is to not have everything too tight to start with. You can either use your tracking pole, and you need to set that at about, I think it's 165 centimeters. But the beauty of this tent is that you can adjust it slightly. You can make some modifications to it. So you can have it slightly higher, so the air vents will be opened up all around it, or you can have it slightly lower and tighter around all the edges, and that way if it's really cold, the wind doesn't get in too much. So it's a little bit of playing around, but it's not too complicated. This is my OEX tarp pole, triple tarp pole that comes with the tarp, OEX tarp modified, and I use that to get in under a particular point on the tent. So get your pole ready, get a peg ready, put it in between the bug sheet and the outer sheet, the fly sheet. It's only one sheet to it really, and you'll see in there a stitched reinforcement in that section there. Stick that one in there, bring it up, then at the base you'll find a little mini bungee, and the base of your pole has to go inside that one. Now if it's really soft ground, it's advisable to put a little bung on the bottom of that one to stop it sinking too much into the ground. If it's wet, you've got a tendency, particularly with these types of poles, to sink down. I'll give you a link to those. They're just the bottoms of hiking poles, the rubber bottoms of hiking poles, the little shoes you can get. just stick one on the bottom of that and stop it sinking into the ground. So once you've got your pole in, keep the pressure on with your guy line at the front. Now the guy line is a single unit from bottom of door to top of tent. Keep the pressure on there. You'll see a little loop down this end. Don't take that loop out. It's measured to give you the right distance for setting up the tent. Keeping the pressure on, put your peg in there and put it into the ground. Now I'm doing this quite loosely for a minute, just so I can tighten everything up in a bit. And that's it basically. The bulk of the tent is set up. You do have extra guy lines around the edges, which you can set out. It helps to give you a little bit more room inside the tent. There's one at the back and one at two sides. Obviously it gives it a bit more stability in the winds. Like I say, you don't really need to have them out, and if you're out for a quick camp you might omit putting them in, but in strong winds it's a must. So let's just finish off what we're doing here. I'll put a few guy lines in, tighten it up and see how we go. So let me just run through what's what on the tent, what I like, what I dislike. The first thing, and probably the most important thing to mention about the tent, is that it comes without its seams sealed. So you do have to go through a bit of a ball ache of anywhere where there's the overlaps. You have to seal these seams off, and I did it here as well. I did it on everything basically where there was stitching. Now that seems like it's a pain in the arse. It doesn't take that long. I messed mine up a bit, to be honest, but who's judging me? Who cares? And the best way I found of doing that is by just using a bit of builder's silicone and I was going to say watering it down, mixing it with a bit of white spirit, and that forms a kind of gluey pasty paint, if you think of wallpaper paint paste kind of consistency, and then just a little brush, just brush all the way down there. I know a lot of people find that difficult, and with the kit, when you buy these from 3FUL, they do come with a little syringe with a little bent edge to do it. I just did it with a brush. If you do it with a brush and you do it yourself, leave it out to dry, and top tip, put a bit of talc over it after about half an hour, and that way when you pack up your tent, when you've just seam sealed it, it won't actually all stick together like mine did. Never mind, hey. Right, let me show you some other bits of it, some other features of the tent. Like I say, it is a single skin tent, and obviously you can see a fair bit of a gap underneath, certainly at the front, for ventilation. Now you need that ventilation on single skin tents in particular, because you will get condensation build up inside it. So you can, like I say, lower it. You can lower your pole, you can use your hiking pole, lower it and adjust where you put the front guy line with your peg, and that will lower the whole thing. It's hard to explain it. You'll figure it out if you get one. So you can make it higher, make the air gaps bigger, or you can make them smaller and really protect yourself from the wind and the elements if you're out in the winter, which is what I've just been through. There's not a huge amount to say about the interior. There's plenty of space. I mean, it is a good size for a single man tent. In fact, it's a very good size for a single man tent. Not much in the way of pockets. You have one little one down here. You put your stuff in. I could have made this tent a bit tighter today, but I'm only just doing a setup. And you've got a light hook at the top here. Obviously you have got the bug nets here, but it is only a J door opening, which means it only opens on one side, which isn't the end of the world, to be honest. You can get, if you buy the Lanshan 1 or the Lanshan 1 Plus, where you get a double skin tent, you get an inner and an outer. You can get different inners, so you can get a summer inner, 3-season inner, and they do class the one as a winter one as well. I think there's not that much in it, they're just inners, but you'll find that for the winter ones, for the 4 seasons, there's less bug net and more material, if that makes sense. One thing I have to show you, which has been a point of contention about these tents, at the front here you have a little hook, a ram's horn hook looking hook, and that is to put the doors on, and it's double-sided, so it's a left door or a right door, and these are made of quite flimsy plastic. I have heard, I think Novice Wild Camper had issues with one breaking, or he was worried that it was going to break. They are plastic, and in heavy wind I've never had a problem personally, but you can get metal ones. I think they cost about £4 plus £2 postage. There is a link, Gear Outdoors, somebody Gear Outdoors, but Novice Wild Camper will, on his site will have the link on there. So you can change them for these metal ones. I personally have never had a problem. You can see in some of these videos up here, I've been out in some really heavy winds and it hasn't been a problem. So when you bring down your door on that side, you can, with this bungee thing, clip it to that one as well. I never bother, to be honest. It does have these Velcro straps here that it will close up and hold itself together, and even in the highest of winds that I've been out in, I've never had a problem with that in particular. I did the other week when I was out on Dartmoor in really exceptionally high winds, have a little bit of a panic attack. So what I did was put an extra stake in, connecting the base of the door to the ground with an old-fashioned J hook tent peg, just to hold it in, and it survived. It took a battering, and it's taken several batterings, so I'm not sure it's a problem, to be honest. So that's about it really, all set up. Very compact little tent, compact in its package size and in its weight, but a really tough little tent. Really surprising, really impressed with it, and I shall be using it throughout the summer as well now. So what do I like about the tent and what don't I like about the tent? There's not much I don't like about it. I was really impressed with how strong it is for a single pole, and that is quite a flimsy pole in there, but the structure of the tent itself, holding everything together, makes for a really sturdy tent. It's a copy of another tent. Now this one costing about 135, 139, that kind of money, a single skin tent, as opposed to the one it copies, which is about 400 quid. Well, you'd have to make up your own mind. I think the only things that could possibly fail on it would be the strength of the guy lines. I haven't had a problem with that. The pegs, yeah, upgrade them. They're not very much money. There's a link down below just to upgrade those to the ones with the return hook on them. There's many tent pegs out there, so just get something a little bit more substantial. You could upgrade that bit. I've never found it to be a problem. I can't think of any more downsides, to be honest. Every time I go out in it, I think, when's it going to fail? For this kind of money, when's it going to fail? When's it going to give up on me? And it hasn't. Fingers crossed. And for that kind of money, I'm really impressed with it. It's light, it's waterproof. I've never had a problem with any water coming in. The wind does come up in underneath if you've got the vent, you know, if you've got it set up high for the ventilation. But if you're warm and toasty inside in your bag, in your bivvy bag as well, maybe in the winter, and you're on a decent mat system, you're not going to be cold anyway. It's more a rain shelter than anything else. It's big, you know, compared to my previous winter tent. It's a big tent. There's plenty of space for one in there. You don't feel cramped. You can sit up and you can cook. This porch here is massive. It's an absolutely massive porch. There's plenty of room to sit on the inside and cook with the door closed if you're using the right equipment. I wouldn't advise using a Trangia or something like that. I always think that's a bit risky when you're cooking inside the tent, but if you use a Jetboil or something similar to that, then I don't think you're going to have a problem. Plenty of room for your kit as well as a single person. You probably even get a dog in there as well, one man and his dog. Chester anyway would probably fit in there, but Chester's not my dog. So it really is, I'm not going to give it 5 out of 5, but I'd give it 4.5 out of 5. Really impressed with it. It's really done its job, and for the money I genuinely don't think you can go too far wrong. Now there are plenty of brands out there, so if you try and search for these, you can get them on AliExpress, but they take forever to arrive. There is a guy, I will do the link here, who imports a load of stuff from 3F UL, 3F Ultralight that is, I guess, 3F UL the company name, and he sells them for pretty much the same kind of price. So he will deliver them to you, and he's got a whole load of nature hike tents and these kind of tents. You get different brandings with it, so you'll see different names. It will still be a 3F UL tent, but there are many different brands, and it basically is because companies will just buy them up and call them their brand, but they're made by the same company. Just be looking for that 3F UL symbol on there or name, and they are bona fide manufacturer those, but you might get some different brandings. There are several different ones. So all in all, yeah, very happy with the tent. Not been quite a year down the line, but certainly have camped through summer, winter and some spring, coming into spring now, and I'm going to carry on using it all the way through the summer. Hopefully it won't let me down. I can't imagine why it would. Just those few little upgrades. It's as tough as old boots, the material is good, it doesn't let in water. You do get condensation on the inside because it's a single skin tent, but that's why you have the vents up high, and it's not really an issue for me. You get condensation in any kind of tent. So all in all, a blooming good tent. If you want one, go and get one. They're lighter, it means you can walk further on the moors when you're trekking and when you're hiking. Okay, any questions, please do leave comments down below. I have a kit list of stuff that I've bought off Amazon. There is a link to the 2-skin version of this on Amazon. I do get a slight kickback from it, from any referrals, but this video is not sponsored by 3F UL or anyone else. It's sponsored by me as per usual. All right, so thanks for watching, really do appreciate it. If you get a chance, please do subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos. Hopefully we'll be heading off to Ben Nevis soon, and we'll be doing a wild camp up there. That will be in the summertime. And if you want to have notifications, please do ring the bell, and that way you get told when we've done a new video. All right, so thanks for watching, do appreciate it. I'll catch up with you next time. You take care. Cheers, bye.